FBP family, who out there listening wants a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card? If you're like me, your hand is raised. Well, during the month of October, we will be selecting one lucky winner each week. So that's 4 chances to win. Here's what you need to do. Subscribe to our incredible show notes and tell us in 50 words or less why you love the Fitness Business Podcast. Go to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/win for all the details. And good luck to everyone out there. Your Fitness Business Podcast Snapshot. Is there ever a good time to hire staff? Tips to get organized for the search and best practice suggestions for interviewing staff. All of that and more coming up in today's episode. You're listening to the fitness industry's leading fitness business podcast for owners and managers, where each week we invite business experts, coaches, authors, and owners from all around the world to share their expert advice with you, the FBP family. This month's interviews are brought to you by Team Rockstar Fit. Thank you for tuning in for this week's episode of the Fitness Business Podcast. I am your host, Dory Nugent, and you are listening to episode number 317 with special guest Barry Herbst from the New York-based company, the Elliot Group. But before we get started, here's a quick message from Team Rockstar Fit.
Team Rockstar Fit is an award-winning mastermind team that helps fit pros lead happy and balanced lives. Get mentoring and support. Learn how to grow your business online with Beachbody. You can apply for a free consultation today at teamrockstarfit.com.
Hiring staff is always a challenging task for any organization, business owner, or operator. Hiring is time-consuming, and then add in the pressure of finding the perfect candidate, and the process can be downright exhausting. Luckily, today's guest, Barry Herbst, is going to walk us through the hiring process. In Barry's interview, he will provide tips and insight on how to get through the process as efficient as possible. So please join me in welcoming Barry not only to the show, but to our FBP family. Barry Herbst, welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Dory, thank you for having me. Great to be here with you.
Yes, and you're coming from New York, am I right?
From New York, live in the financial district of Manhattan with my beautiful wife and baby, who she will be 15 months in 2 days. So time flies.
So Barry, you told us you're married, you have a newborn or, a little baby. What else can you tell our listeners about yourself?
Well, I'm from Westchester County, New York. I went to the University of Delaware. I studied hospitality, hotel, restaurant management. I've always had a passion and deep penchant for people. I had a Spanish minor in college, graduated from the business school. I'm self-taught in Portuguese. I left to travel and build relationships with people. After college, I worked in residential real estate for about 6 years in Manhattan, selling condominiums and co-ops to the rich and famous, all the way to estate sales. And that was an amazing business to be in, but I'm glad I've pivoted to where I am now with the Elliot Group. I'm a vice president. I co-lead our business development and client relations team. And we are an exclusive search firm working with brands across the consumer sector, helping these brands to help identify their future talent at the strategic and senior levels.
Well, I just have to back up for a second. I did see that you are a Blue Hen. University of Delaware. That's awesome. I've been to that campus. It's absolutely lovely. I've been to the little downtown. Well, great school. Fantastic school.
Had a lot of fun. Love the campus. Beautiful green. Miss the food. A lot of lifelong friends of mine or live all over the country, but we're blue hens till we die. So proud of that.
You and Matt O'Donnell. Do you know who Matt O'Donnell is?
I don't know Matt O'Donnell, but we have Joe Flacco, who's now, I don't know where he is, maybe the Ravens or something, but not that big of a football guy, although I'm going to try to fake it until you make it. So,
well, perfect. We're so glad that you're on our show today. And we're going to talk a little bit just about hiring and staffing and all that good stuff that goes along with trying to find the perfect employee. So I'm going to get started with our first question, which is, for many of the Fitness Business Podcast family, they may think that it's just a strange time to be looking to hire staff as, the world's coming out of COVID. Is there ever a good time to look for staff, whether it's dependent on the economy or the seasons?
That's a great question, Dory. It really depends upon the company's needs. We always encourage our clients to be forward-thinking and try to anticipate what their needs could be across all functional disciplines. We work with our clients across the strategic and senior executive levels. And a challenge we come across and our clients come across is realizing they have a need a little too late. We would request, and I strongly implore everyone listening to think ahead in terms of when they might need to make a new hire or replace somebody so they don't have to deal with that pressure later on. There really is no bad time until either it's too late, and especially it's very important as well to have the capital included in the G&A to make this investment in a new hire, which is a critical decision to make for a business owner, operator, investor.
So I was going to ask you as you were talking. Yeah, so I guess there's no timeline on 6 months before you realize, or is it 3 months? It just doesn't sound like maybe you could put a number on it. It's just more of just make sure it's not at the last minute.
Every company is so different. Every industry is so different. I think right now with the black swan event of the coronavirus pandemic, we've seen companies that have had to react very quickly. Yeah, this caught everybody by surprise, and owners, operators had to be a lot less nimble than they would have been before, kind of flying by the seat of the pants thinking, well, gee, we're now in survival mode. We have to do whatever it takes to ensure not only can we serve our guests, but we can still keep our team members employed and ensure they can still thrive and make a living. I don't want to say that it's a funny thing because it's not funny, but yet in the same token, do you know how many times over the last couple months during these episodes that I've heard people talk about, I had to fly by the seat of my pants. I had to just wing it. I've never heard so many people being thrown into something where, they just have no idea what they're doing, what tomorrow brings, never alone what the week brings or a month brings. So it's amazing how everybody has learned to really adapt to change and quickly. It's very true, Dory. And, I can't speak for everybody, but I'll say, I don't even know what I'm having for breakfast tomorrow. So just very excited to see what the days bring. We're all kind of anticipating what happens, not only with the coronavirus pandemic, but also other outside factors that will influence how owners and operators hire, including the presidential election and some other factors. So there's many outside confluences or other outside external factors to consider when these hires are considered.
So let's take a company, they're ready to hire and they're ready to look for staff. What are your tips for the owner or the hiring team to get organized for the search?
It's very important for the owners or operators or hiring team to know how they define success around this role. Where do they see this how do they see this role succeeding in 3 to 6 months? What are the owner and operator going to do to fuel this role's success and to ensure that this person is a fantastic hire? Because it takes a lot of time to find that right fit, and it's very expensive to train. And it's even more expensive, unfortunately, when you have to refill that role.
I totally agree with you. I hear that all the time as well. It does. It costs a lot of money. And then the person ends up staying 2 months. And then the company, or like I said, the hiring team, they're right back in the same exact boat. So let's move forward on our next step. You know, we've organized our search, right? And now we've placed our ad, we've got the applications, and we begin the interview process. What are your best practice suggestions for interviewing the candidates?
It's very, very important to have your core questions kind of thought out beforehand. Review the resume ahead of time. Ask yourself, well, gee, why are we interviewing these 3 or 5 people out of the 100 applicants that we've received? When you receive 100 applicants or 100 resumes on LinkedIn or whatever medium you've chose to place that ad, inevitably you will be flooded, and it's an arduous process and a long time investment, which is why to kind of sift through the paperwork easily, it's really important to identify, well, gee, here are some ideal candidates we're looking for based upon maybe some companies they've worked for in the past that caught our eye. Maybe the companies they're currently employed with or were with before are similar to our brand, for example. Maybe they share the ethos or culture. Maybe the candidate has some great experience that they could bring from their current employment or past employment to our current opening, for example. It's very important for the owners and operators, Dory, to have these questions answered ahead of time. You know, I understand that maybe there is a need that comes up right away for a search that needs to be filled, but having these questions answered ahead of time will ensure that time is saved. And we all know that time translates to money in some cases, but more importantly than that, in my humble opinion, Dory, time is the one commodity that we cannot get back ever.
Why is hiring like the dregs? You know, it's like, oh, I got to hire somebody. But I will say, when you do find that dime in the rough, or, you know, that gem that's just shining, it is kind of like yes, I scored a good one. So
exactly. And Dory, just to go back to your question before, an interview, I just want to say that an interview, it's kind of a two-way street. The candidate is also getting to know the employer. They want to know what makes this company unique. Why should I, as a candidate, leave if I'm gainfully employed, leave where I am currently, and quite possibly take a risk to embark on a new journey, a new endeavor. So I think for the owner operator, it's very important to articulate what the culture is behind their brand and learn and understand what makes their company a special new home for the candidate.
And I agree with you on that, because a lot of times, you know, you see, oh, that would be my dream company. My daughter's in that situation right now. There's a specific company that she keeps saying, that would be my dream company. That'd be my dream company. It's like, well, you could get in there and it might not be your dream company. So I think it is as important for you as the person they're interviewing to ask a few questions about the company in a professional way as well. Make sure it's a good fit for you too.
1,000%.
As you know, it's 2020, soon to be 2021, and the reference checking has completely changed. You know, in the 80s, 90s, you picked up the phone, you called the boss, you called maybe a coworker, whatever references they put down on the application, you called and asked for a reference check. Now we have so many other options at our hands, such as, you know, Googling the applicant or searching through their Facebook page or their Instagram page. Tell our listeners your thoughts on that. Do we still pick the phone up, or do we move away from that?
The best way to get to know somebody, their past employment life, is a glowing recommendation or referral. It's kind of like getting a recommendation to go to a certain restaurant. You want to find out why. This is an honest attempt and an honest way to find out as much as we can in a professional setting, in a professional sense. In terms of the social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, all that, TikTok or Instagram, I think that it's a little more, that area of life could give a very, very open view into the person's private life. Mm-hmm. I would caution a little bit against using some of their own personal preferences or posts, if appropriate, of course, against the applicant. For example, if the person makes a political statement that maybe is, given the tenuous times we live in with the election, et cetera, ensuring that the candidate is hired or rejected only because of the qualifications they do or do not bring, or would not be able to bring to the role at the company, excluding anything, of course, around, you know, protected classes or giving personal opinions about food, sports teams, politics, if it's on Facebook or Twitter or your social media site of choice. And I would also say, for us at Elliot, we do a lot of background checks, given the C-level work that we're doing, especially on behalf of public companies where an individual is going to be in the spotlight. Everything that we do is so careful. The owner and operator has to get the background check correct in a non-discriminatory, honest way, honest fashion.
If someone was thinking about using a recruitment company, what are the critical factors in the information that we give the recruitment company?
Well, Dory, when we work with the client, we serve as an extension of their brand. They come to Elliot to help find their next capital across whatever functional discipline, regardless if it's marketing or operations or franchise sales, whatever it may be, because they know that we have the network, we have the clientele and the stories based off of especially 35 years in the business to build our clients' confidence in our ability to take their business to the next level.
Get your pen ready now for Keep Me's Fit Bizpiration.
What are your 3 tips for finding the best applicant during the interview process?
First, understand where the applicant could fit into the culture of the company and find out if this applicant really molds into the ethos and vision of the brand. That's kind of 1 and 2. Number 3, I would say, is this person going to stay long-term? It's very important to ascertain and understand the person's prior job history. Do they jump around like a ping pong ball, or do they stay consistently because they're passionate about the mission and viewpoint of the company long-term?
Keep Me, smarter member retention. KeepMe.ai.
And now it's time to get back to the show. Barry, it was such a pleasure having you on the show today. I love all your knowledge about the hiring process. I mean, what company doesn't need to learn and get better at hiring? So perfect information for our episode.
Thank you, Dora. You're awesome.
So Barry, just tell our audience a little bit about the Elliot Group. I know you're based in New York, but just tell us a little bit about what the Elliot Group does.
The Elliot Group is an exclusive search firm. We represent brands all across the consumer space, from growth brands to public companies, from gym and fitness and spa and massage studios that have anywhere from 5, 10 locations to 500, 700, 800 locations, all the way to, as well as other aspects of the consumer space, from restaurant brands, consumer packaged good companies, retail, and cannabis.
We are just so excited that you were on the show with us today. Again, just helping to bring more knowledge to our listeners. So thank you so much for coming on to the Fitness Business Podcast. Thank you for joining me today. Everyone at the podcast is so grateful for all of our listeners and to all of our guests who come on the show each week and share such valuable information that helps to benefit us all. Next week's guest is Bree Robinson from Miami University, educating us on diversity in the workplace. Here are her quick-fire 5 questions. But first, let's hear a quick message from our podcast partner, MyZone. MyZone is the industry's leading wearable technology platform that drives engagement and provides personal feedback and motivation through gamification, wherever your members choose to work out. Go digital to provide a hybrid offering. Your members will love you for it. Learn more at myzone.org.
Quickfire 5.
And here are next week's guest, Bree Robinson's Quickfire 5 answers. Quickfire 5 questions are brought to you today by Bree Robinson from Miami University. She is the Assistant Athletic Director of Leadership and Diversity. Bree, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dory.
Okay, it's the fun part. Quickfire 5 questions. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, first one. Who inspires you in life and why?
I would have to say my daughter, Harper. She is so gracious. She's kind-hearted and incredibly brave. Probably the bravest 5-year-old that I know.
Oh, that's nice. And number 2, why do you do what you do?
I I think I do what I do. I've always been around. My parents were helpers. Growing up, they always showed us serving other people, helping other people. And so I really have a passion for helping people.
Great answer. I love that one. And if you were not doing what you are doing, what would you be doing?
So there's a nerd in me, and the nerd in me would still say doing something in higher education. I think I would probably teach full time. I'd love to be a faculty member or maybe even a dean of students, but I love higher education and helping develop students.
Well, I think that's still obtainable. That's definitely a goal that's reachable. You can do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Now, what is one book, podcast, blog, or Facebook group that you would recommend to our FBP family and why?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm a huge, especially right now, Jay Shetty fan. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Jay Shetty, but his podcast is called On Purpose with Jay Shetty. And his book is actually Think Like a Monk. So anytime I get a free moment, I get an opportunity to read, I read his book, Think Like a Monk. And for me, it really just grounds me and helps me operate from this frame of mind that's just really peaceful and compassionate and reminds me to give people grace.
Perfect. And our final question, what will be an action item that FBP family will take away from your main interview next week?
I think the main action item would probably be to assess the climate of your organization and survey your staff and clientele to really gauge sense of belonging so that you can figure out an action plan for moving forward to make a more inclusive and diverse space.
Make sure you tune in next week. Bree Robinson is going to talk about diversity in the workplace. We're so excited about this topic, and Bree, can't wait to have you back.
Thanks, Dory.
Hi everyone, Chantal here. Thank you for joining me for this week's throwback episode, when we take a little trip down memory lane as I share some of my all-time favorite episodes from the first 5 years of the show. This week's featured episode features the founder of CrossFit Invictus, CJ Martin. And in the episode, we discuss how CrossFit has changed over the years, ways that CrossFit Invictus make members feel welcome when they first start training. We chat about the CrossFit Games and the challenges and the impact they have on building community. We also speak about the commercial benefits of having a strong community and tips for building a community inside your fitness business. If you haven't yet heard that episode, then take a listen today simply by clicking on the link in today's show notes. Otherwise, head to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com and search for episode number 251. Happy listening.
Just a reminder that all the resources and links for today's episode can be found at fbp.com. And a warm thank you to our founding partner, Active Management.
Hi FBP family, it's JT from Active Management, the founding partner of the Fitness Business Podcast. Thanks to the amazing technology at our fingertips, we can now work with clients all over the world. But right now, you can join the free online Active Management Facebook community. It's an amazing group of people just like you. Sure, I share weekly resources, but it's the power of the community that you will experience that will make this your go-to Facebook group. Remember, it's free, fun, and inspirational. Go to facebook.com/groups/active management community.
What you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.